Outstanding. Okay, cool. And I don't know if you all can come on video, that would be great. This is definitely going to be an interactive session. So I would love to be able to kind of see you and to kind of call on you and talk to you and just have you guys participate and answer questions. So so please feel free to join us.
Hey, Gregory, how's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Can't complain.
All right. Let's see if we can get some other people to join us up here. Well, listen, I'm going to go ahead and get us started, get us rocking and rolling.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Good. How's it going?
Hey,
Pretty
now.
good.
All right. So I'll give a couple minutes for anybody else who wants to kind of come up and join us. Otherwise, listen, just the three of us will chat, and everyone else will be able to kind of benefit from the from your collective wisdom that we're getting ready to share with everybody. Okay.
Cool.
All right, awesome. Okay, well, listen, so I just want to go ahead and get us started. I just want to say, hey, listen, it's a pleasure to be here today. So my name is Greg Coleman. I'm the CEO of SWORKIT. And today I'm going to talk to you about product market fit, kind of what that means. But really, it's all about kind of like product market fit is nothing more but building what your customer wants, or needs. And so with that, I'll just give you just a quick about myself. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of SWORKIT. We are a digital fitness company that sells directly to consumers. We also sell to employers and sell to schools all over the world. Been in the startup game for about 11 years now. Just been grinding away on it. It's been one hell of a ride, and I've really enjoyed it. I've been blessed that we've had pretty good success. So we've gotten pretty good level of press, and I've just been able to just kind of keep moving the ball forward. I'm just really happy to see all these other brothers here with me today. So what I want to do is kind of talk about product market fit, and for the for the guys here on stage with me, or for anybody in the chat, does anybody want to offer their thought of what product market fit is?
So for me I think you will say the line is to find out what does your customer want and how does that product fit to benefit them.
Yep, absolutely. Anybody got any other thoughts? And again, feel free to throw it in the chat as well. How about you, Kenny? Do you have any thoughts on product market fit? Kind of like, how do you think about it?
Yeah, I would say, similar to what Donaldi said. Just are you giving your customers, what they need? And then when I think of fit, right? There's different personalities. There's different personas out there. There isn't typically just one kind of customer persona. And so as you come across, different personalities depending on the customers you're selling to, how does your product actually deliver value for them? And so that's what I think about when it comes to product market fit.
Absolutely. No, those are both great. I think you guys definitely kind of get it on an intuitive level. So I put this definition up here just to kind of provide a common framework for all of us. And this is from just from Hotjar. And it says product market fit, I'll skip the other part, describes a stage in the company where you successfully identified a target customer and serve them the right product. I mean, you guys kind of hit this already. But I think the other piece, the next part of this is something that I really want us to kind of think about. After, not before, but after achieving product market fit, the next step is to scale. And that's where you go trying to find more customers who fit that target market, through research, user feedback, or interviews. But I really want to foot stomp the after portion. Back when I was going through Techstars, the managing director told us very early on, he had this concept of nail it, then scale it, right? So what that means is, listen, you shouldn't be putting a lot of money into marketing. You shouldn't be putting a lot of money into all this other growth stuff if you have not kind of really zeroed down and nailed what it is that you're going to be selling, because you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time, and you're wasting valuable resources, right? So your money and your time as a startup founder, those are the two most precious things you have, right? And what you don't want to do is you don't want to waste them unnecessarily. So with that, let's talk a little about how do you find it. Again, anybody feel free to jump in the chat, or Kenny or Donald. Do you guys have any thoughts on how would you go about finding product market fit? Like, what are your thoughts on how to do it?
Yeah, my understanding is you have to ask the customer the question. You have to put the product on their hand, and then they let you know this is a product market fit. So you cannot decide that this is fit for them. They need to say, hey, this fit for me. And once you find that, that's why I like when you said nail it, then scale it. I think I'm going to use that So when somebody say, "Hey man, that fits for me. That's what I wanted." Now you put a nail on that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so I'll go ahead and come here too. So really what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're owning that relationship with your customers. And what does that mean? So that means that you are taking the time to, at the very beginning, kind of develop a hypothesis on how your product and service is going to be used and what problem is it going to solve. Because the reality is that you're likely going to pivot. You're going to make some pivots along the way. You're going to have some thoughts and ideas about what your product, is and how it relates to the market. But then once you get in contact with the market, it's going to give you some different feedback and tell you some things that you may not have known. You're going to get that through one-on-one interviews with users and customers. If you have like a good analytics kind of like put into your tech stack, you can kind of see, well, where are people spending their time? What is it that they're actually using? I mean, so for example, like you look at Slack. Slack didn't start out as Slack. Slack was nothing more. I forget the actual company that it was in, but Slack was a feature in another kind of like gaming type of gaming interaction, almost like a Discord type of community. And there was this chat feature that everybody just really loved and started using. They spun that out of the business as Slack, which then became obviously this multi-billion-dollar business that went public and then got acquired by Salesforce. So you never quite know what it is that you're going to, that's really going to resonate with your customers. You, again, have a hypothesis, but you want to be constantly testing, iterating, and getting, to this third point, getting and reviewing both the quantitative and the qualitative data, right? So you want to get that quantifiable stuff, right? Okay, where are people clicking? How much time are they spending in certain areas? What are they buying? What are they purchasing? Once they purchase, what are they using, right? And then just in the conversations with folks, you're going to get a more of a qualitative understanding of how people are using it and what people are doing. And so what you want to kind of do then, it's up to you as the founder to kind of think through and start to reconcile, how do I match the two of those? How do I match that qualitative part with the quantitative part? And how does that give me insights that are really going to help me just really double down and be able to deliver the best possible customer experience? And then what you want to do is you want to get that feedback. You want to make some informed changes to your product, and then rinse and repeat, start over. You're going to keep iterating. I mean, the thing about product market fit, a lot of people think of it as a destination, where the reality is it's an ongoing process. You're never going to have and maintain product market fit without having to evolve, right? Because I mean, just think about that. Think about the things you use today, the products and services used today, and how many of them are the same things that you used 1 year ago, 5 years ago, for those of us who are old enough, 10 years ago, right? Things change, the market changes, your needs change, the way you interact, the way you go about your daily life changes, competitor offerings change, right? And so just because you have product market fit, here in October of 2021, doesn't mean that same product is going to have product market fit in October of 2022. So you need to keep evolving and keep learning and keep going through that same feedback loop. So that's just definitely one way you want to think about your product market fit.
Yeah, Greg, before you move on to the next one, may I ask you a question real quick?
Absolutely.
So when you talk about the hypothesis, so you make a statement as a founder. You said, for example, you have a product. You said this product make people lives live healthier life, for example. Should you stay more generic like that, or you should be more specific in terms of a workout product? Should you say this product will allow someone to live 20 pounds in 10 days? Like, how specific should your hypothesis be when you're making those statements?
Yeah. Okay. So that question demonstrates a great insight. Thank you for that. The way you want to think of it will, quite frankly, depend on your product, right? Mm-hmm. And on how you understand your market and the solution that you're going for. My personal opinion is that you should kind of have both that little like real tight micro lens mm-hmm. on like, hey, listen, out of 100 people, this is the person who is going to get the most out of it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you want to kind of think even more, even more broadly about it, which kind of comes to the next point here. So what I'll do here is, this is how you're kind of thinking about product market fit, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to start to kind of measure, how are people feeling about it? Mm-hmm. If my mm-hmm. product were to go away, then would anybody care? Right. And if they cared, how much would they care? Would they be like, oh, you know what? I kind of liked it. It's gone. But, oh, well, OK. And, on to the next one. or to be like, oh my gosh, man, it's like, dude, this is devastating. I've been using this thing every day for the last like 3 years, and now it's gone. Man, I gotta like revisit, even how I like kind of live my life now, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think with your product, to your question is, there's going to be like a very kind of like targeted like super fan or super user that you're going to find, right? I think what you have to do as you think about that is you want to get narrow enough where you're addressing needs, right? But then what you need to do is you need to be constantly assessing, okay, well, in that little small targeted group there, is the market of those people big enough for me to sustain my business? And as I go and think about that part of the market, what does that do to all of my business and economic assumptions, right? It may be that you're building this awesome tool for this very specific use case, but then when you actually find that fit, you may figure out, oh, damn, you know what? This is like 4 people. They love it, but I can't build I can't scale to 10 million in revenue based on this. Right.
Thank you.
And so does that help?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's about kind of finding that trade-off and kind of finding that sweet spot where you've got your fan of like your real power users that, they would have to completely disrupt their lives to move on if your product existed. Kind of like next level is, they would, they're happy to keep paying you money for it. And happy to pay and happy to continue to support you and tell other people about you. There's other people who kind of like get some utility out of it. Hey, it's valuable. If it went away, whatever, I'll find something else, but I'm still willing to pay for it. Then there's other people who are kind of like, whatever. And, this is interchangeable with something else, right? So just kind of like, it's a way to kind of think about it.
And Gregory, just to add on to the feedback you were giving there, like you said, it's like this constant kind of tug of war that you have to deal with. I think of in my space, I'm in customer success. And so we're always looking at NPS scores and things like that. Like you said, today, an NPS score could be real positive, right? We make 1 or 2 changes in the system, and then next week we have a problem or we have an opportunity area. Like you said, so as you were just talking through that, Gregory, the NPS score was actually coming top of mind for me when it comes to making sure you have that constant, like must have. You always want them to have that nostalgia about the product, but it really is like a constant battle, just keeping up and trying to make sure your product is still where it needs to be.
Yep. Yeah. You're 100% right on that. And I think the thing is, and you live this, right? Being in customer success. I mean, this is what you see day to day, right? You see whether or not you have fit with that customer, right? And it becomes very clear to you day in and day out. I think another thing to think about too, as you're thinking about your customer, is to some degree, you even kind of have to broaden how you're thinking about your customer. Like there was something like really compelling that I think it was Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, said a couple of years ago during the pandemic in particular, like they were talking about with Netflix, and he was saying, hey, listen, so as Netflix, who do you see as your competitors, right? As your biggest competitor, and everybody was expecting him to say like Disney Plus or Amazon Prime or Hulu or somebody like that. Does anybody know what he said? You can write a chat too if you do. Anybody know? I like that, Spencer. I like the sleep part. I do like that because that's what he competes for with me, right? But what he said was Fortnite.
Wow.
And so and so take that in, right? Okay. So the CEO of Netflix sees Fortnite as a competitor, and you're thinking, okay, wait a minute. Okay, these are 2 different things. Okay, are they? Right? When you're doing Netflix, what is it you're tuning into Netflix for? Yes, it is to watch a movie, watch Squid Games, watch a TV show, watch some kind of documentary. I got a daughter home, who loves Nailed It, and so they have, so it can be doing that, but what you're ultimately competing for is leisure time, right? So how do you think about your product as it relates to competing with leisure time? It's like, okay, so in addition to competing with everything else I just mentioned, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, and all the other streaming services, well, what is it that people would be doing in their non-work downtime? Well, they may be going out, they may be reading, they may be, but in his case, he's like, listen, folks playing Fortnite, that's taken away from, that's a threat to my market share. Right. And he saw that as his biggest competitor. And the thing that was really intriguing about that statement is that it really kind of causes you to kind of get back to, term first principles. Okay, what is it that we're actually serving? What is the value we are actually providing, our customers, right? So that's a way to think about it. But kind of getting back to the text here on the screen, how do you know when you have it, right? So you can measure it, to Candy's point, like with net promoter scores and surveys and things that identify, how people feel about you and how people feel about your product. But the question is, is it a must-have, right? And is it a must-have? What do you have to do to make sure that it remains a must-have, right? So these are the things that we need to be thinking about, as we're kind of getting towards product market fit. So what I want to do right now is kind of talk to you guys about, as you're thinking about your product, what type of product is it? Anybody familiar with the vitamin and aspirin conversation? Which one are you selling? And again, if you are, you can just either type or each type of +1 in the chat, or for the guys, brothers up on screen with me. Are you guys familiar with this analogy, the aspirin or vitamin analogy?
No, I'm not.
All right. Anybody in chat? Anybody familiar or not familiar with this? Okay, why am I asking people? Which do you think is easier to sell, a vitamin or an aspirin?
It's hard, I guess.
Yeah, it depends.
Aspirin.
Okay. Why do you say aspirin?
Because when somebody's in pain, like it's more like glaring, like kind of like need in the moment. So like, yes. Okay, I'm in pain. I need an aspirin versus a vitamin. I'm healthy with or I can feel healthy with or without the vitamin. So it's like, is it really working?
That's right. Right. Okay. And so, so you can kind of think about your product. Okay. So is your product, is it solving a pain? Is it leading into an acute pain, something that is either stressing people out, making them feel bad, causing them physical pain, causing them mental stress, causing them emotional stress, or is your product something that just helps them be better, right? There are huge markets for either one, but the strategies and how you understand that are different, right? And so you think about vitamin and aspirin. Let's just talk about these literal markets. They're both huge markets, right? But the strategies are different, and quite frankly, the target customers are different. Right. So that aspirin is for that person who, listen, I got a headache and it won't stop. I need to make it go away now. Or maybe it's a weight loss pill. You know what? Listen, I have not paid attention to my health for the last 20 years. I am now, 100 pounds overweight. I need to do something. Can somebody just give me like a pill that'll just help make all the weight go away and just make me magically healthy. Right. Versus people buying vitamins are kind of, they may be trying to address the pain, but they're trying to address it in a more enduring and a more sustained manner. But more specifically, a lot of people who go buy vitamins and supplements, they're trying to optimize. They're trying to figure out how to be the best versions of themselves and not so much just trying to take away pain. They're trying to prevent future pain from even happening. They're trying to prevent, listen, not only do I not want an aspirin, I want to be strong. I want to be fit. I want to be healthy. I want to be sexy, whatever it is, right? And so, and so that's the market that you're going after with a vitamin versus what you're going after with an aspirin. Now, again, it's easier to sell an aspirin because people want pain to stop, right? And so think about your product. And as you're thinking about your user personas, like the type of people you're selling it to, just kind of ask yourself the question, am I selling an aspirin or am I selling a vitamin? And you can just break it down just very basic, and that'll kind of help your framing for how you're thinking about the product. And Malik, I like that statement in there too, in the chat. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of exercise, and I will need some, I'm going to need some participation, even if you're a little shy and don't want to come up on the stage with us. I do want to have some participation. So we're going to do this thing. A lot of things in business, lemonade stands provide a very great example of some of the basics of business, and there's no different. So we're gonna kind of like work through a lemonade. We're gonna work through lemonade from the standpoint of product market fit. Okay, so let's just start with first principles. What are we selling when we sell lemonade?
We're selling a product to quench thirst.
Yep.
We're selling a product that quench thirst.
Okay, so we're selling. Okay, so we're selling something to quench thirst. Okay, I like that. That's actually a really good start because most of the time somebody says, "Yeah, we're selling lemonade." That's where a lot of people start with this. Okay, but you guys are already a step ahead. What else? What does the okay? So you're quenching thirst. What is that? Like when something like just hits the spot, how do you respond to that? Like what do you feel? Like, is there an emotion that comes with that? Is there a feel? Is there a physiological response that comes with that? Or you're just like, okay, I'm thirsty. Okay, I'm not thirsty, and you keep it moving. Refreshment.
Good feeling. Yeah, refreshment.
Refreshment, relief.
Relief. Okay, I like that. Maybe even the concept of a sweet treat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just Jones. I need some sugar. I just want something sweet. Okay. And each type of person is going to have something different, right? Okay, so let's think about that. Okay, so if you have to sell that taste, I see it, Patrick. Thank you. Okay, so taste, selling a sweet drink, selling refreshments, selling, maybe for somebody older, maybe you're selling nostalgia, right? Maybe somebody's remembering what it was like being a little kid, maybe either having their own lemonade stand or being treated with lemonade, right? So as you think about this, so let's take this to the next step further. How would you think about going to find people to sell lemonade to? Like where where are you going to put your lemonade stand?
So in my case, because it quench thirst when it's really hot, noon time, when it's sunny, where people are walking by and they need something to drink when they need something fresh.
Okay. So hot summer day. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And to Malik's point, it's an upgrade from water. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Okay. So we got a hot summer day. So hot summer day. Tell me more. Where else would you think about selling that?
Downtown, high foot traffic.
Okay. High foot traffic. Okay. Keep going.
Near like
the beach. Okay. Okay. Soul food restaurant. Okay. Near the beach.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's interesting. Okay. So let me kind of pause on Patrick's comment there. Soul food restaurant, right? That's not intuitive for the average person, but that is actually a really kind of interesting, insightful, right? So are you selling that? It's like that really like soulful, like what your grandma used to make a ton of sugar in it. Kind of like, to really take you back to your childhood, right? So there you're maybe selling less refreshment and more nostalgia, right? And more nostalgia and taste, right? But I do want to comment on that because that's actually a really good insight. But let me come back to this other conversation about, okay, so high foot traffic. Okay, is all foot traffic created equal?
No.
Okay, so tell me about a place where you might want to put the lemonade stand, and tell me about another place you might not want to put it. That still meets the hot, sunny, high foot traffic qualities.
Depending on the time, if the people are rushing to go to work, it would be difficult. You need to think about, are they rushing to work? For example, if you go to downtown New York, for example, what time do you put this? Is it a time after lunch? You can put it after lunch when the people coming out after lunch, and you make it convenient. They can just grab this lemonade for you while they have their sausage or hot dog in one hand.
That's right. Yeah. So, okay. So the people have to be moving at a leisurely enough pace to be able to stop and take time to come get your lemonade. So you're not going to put it down on Wall Street right before opening bell.
Right.
Even if it's August in New York, right? You're not going to, okay. So that's probably not a good place for it. Okay. So let's go a little bit further. Who's the decision maker? Or one, who's the decision maker and who's the influencer, right? So those are maybe two things to think about. Sometimes they're going to be the same person, but can you tell me about a case when those may be two different people? Or better yet, I'll add a third one to that: decision maker, influencer, consumer.
I think in terms of if you have parents that walking down the street with a kid, and the kid just eats some popcorn, for example. So the influencer might say, "Mom, I want something sweet." That's the influencer, and the decision maker may be the mom or the dad, the parents. So that's in terms I'm thinking about it. And the consumer can be the kids. It could be both at the same time.
That's right. Yeah, but they may be different, right? And it may be that, okay, so maybe the kid is the consumer and the influencer. Or maybe the kid is the influencer and both the parent and the kid are the consumer, right? And what is it and what is it you're selling to each individual, right? So what you're selling to the parent may be different from what you're selling to the kid. So to the parent, you're selling this idea that, oh, hey, I'm a good present parent. I listen to my kid. I give my kid, what he or she wants within reason. Where the kid's like, yo, that just looks really tasty and yummy. I just want some. I mean, think about even the psychology of that. We've all been kids before, and maybe some of us have kids. I mean, when you were a kid, or if you have kids, and your kids are outside and they hear the jingle coming off an ice cream truck, even if they've got the same stuff in the house, what are they going to do?
Money.
Right. They're going to want to come go and buy from that. So they're buying the experience. They're buying the experience of that ice cream truck, right? So even here, a lemonade stand can also just be even an experience, right? And so there's so many different dimensions, where you can find ways to kind of connect with your customers. I like that too, Emmanuel. Find something, like post up near something salty, right? And they're going to want something sweet to go along with it. That's a good idea. I like that, right? But okay, so kind of like bringing this back. So we have this concept. So let's say we picked like a hot August day in New York. We want to avoid, right before work or when people are in a hurry. So we want to avoid locations and times where we're not going to have the right type of customer for our product. So we're maybe going to go find a park, or maybe we'll be outside a museum, or maybe we'll be somewhere where people are going to be more leisurely, more likely to spend money, more likely to have, or maybe next to a peanut stand. So maybe there's more of an impulse buy, so it's really trying to understand what is it that I'm actually selling, right? And then even leaning a little bit more into this experience part, even how you set up and how you present and how you position your product, is going to have an impact on your sales, right? So if you're kind of like positioning for the nostalgia's sake, maybe if you have children or nieces or nephews or little cousins, it's probably better to have them selling the lemonade versus some 48-year-old dude like me standing up trying to say, hey, you want some lemonade? They're just going to think I'm creepy, right? Where if it's my daughter doing it, then they're much more likely to buy from her too, right? So there's like a whole brand consistency that happens between, an authenticity really that happens between part of that relationship between you and your customer. So those are also things you kind of think about product market fit, because depending upon what part of your business people see, your entire brand kind of needs to be congruent to that and needs to kind of be considered in that product market fit. What does your brand represent? How does your brand make them feel? What does your brand make them, if they're going to wear your logo, what are they saying about themselves as they wear your logo, right? So there's a utilitarian piece to product market fit, but there's also this kind of like subjective emotional component to product market fit. So Ted, before we move on, let me pause there. We got about 20 minutes left. Let me pause there and see if folks have any questions. Just realizing at the end, I am going to have some time if anyone wants to kind of talk about their companies or their products. I'm going to leave some space for that, so we can hold on that. But if you have questions about things so far, please feel free to chime in. I'll just give it a minute. Okay. All right. Well, listen, if you do come up with anything, go ahead and drop it in the in the chat. So I'm going to move on, tell you a little bit about our experience with product market fit. And particularly as we were changing some of our positioning in the market and how we wanted to think about our, selling our product to a different customer. So our company SWORKIT, like I said, we're a digital fitness company, and we personalized on-demand workouts anytime, anywhere, right? The thing about our brand is it's very relatable, it's very approachable, and it's very much for, regardless of your experience level, you can come in and get a great workout with us. So like, if you work out in the middle of the night in a small apartment and you can't jump around, then listen, we'll give you a workout for that. If you travel a lot and you work out in hotel rooms and you don't want to touch the floor, then we can give you a workout. If you work out for an hour at a time in the gym or at home, but you got a shoulder injury, then we can give you a workout for that, right? And so we really make it very easy to achieve your workouts, and that's reflected a lot in our brand positioning, a lot in our everything from our user interface to our language to our colors. Everything has been deliberate about trying to test to try to get to that product market fit. The one thing that we started doing about 18 months ago is that we realized there was an opportunity to sell B2B, or specifically B2B2C, which means that instead of selling directly to people, just like regular consumers, like just folks like through the Apple App Store, or Google Play, and directly on the website, we started selling to companies who were paying for it for all of their employees, right? Anybody have any ideas on how that might be different, on how selling to a corporation might be different from selling to an individual consumer?
Scale would be important, I would think, right? Because you're not talking about just one or two customers interacting with your app. You could be talking about thousands at a time. So they want to make sure like the tool is up and running and they're able to track it and do all those things on the back end to show the value.
That's right. Yeah. So all of a sudden the requirements changed a little bit, right? Budget and incentives. And Malik, tell you what, don't let me forget. I'll come back and we'll talk about your we'll talk about this. See if we can get some ideas on how Lemonade Stand compete with the juice company. But yes, to your point, so the needs are different, right? I'm not selling necessarily fitness to the person making the purchasing decisions. Okay, so which reminds me, okay, so what do I need? Who do I need to identify first?
In the B2B?
Yes.
The CEO of the companies, the decision makers in the companies.
Decision makers, right? Who's actually making the buying decision here, right? And why is it that they're making that decision? What is driving them to make that decision, right? So, okay, so let's move this conversation on, right? So we kind of talked about, okay, so in consumers, you're selling this. Okay, now you're selling to a company, you're selling to a corporation, you're selling to an enterprise. The sales process is now different, and the points you have to hit on are different, right? Also, your product is still your product is still mostly the same, right? But am I selling tools that this person can use? But the first thing I need to understand is the motivation, right? So if a consumer purchases the product and is paying us an annual or monthly subscription, I can probably very quickly get to what their motivation is and why they're doing it, right? Mm-hmm. I can probably figure that out pretty quickly. When it comes to a company, then you got to look a little bit deeper to understand the motivation, right? Mm-hmm. Is it that the CEO or the HR manager is a diehard fitness person who thinks that all of her team should be fit and should have access to high quality digital fitness properties? Or is it somebody who's worried about retention and say, you know what, damn, I don't really do anything for my employees. I need to just give them something just so that they think that I take care of them, that I care, and I'm generous, right? Maybe somebody else is looking for, hey, listen, I got this remote workforce. I'm looking for tools that can help me get them engaged and help them to honestly be healthier, but also give you some tools that can maybe help them interact. Maybe I want to increase morale of my organization. I want to make it more fun to be here. And then you have others who may just say, hey, listen, I got a budget I need to execute. Listen, I got $20,000 for wellness. I haven't spent it yet. If I don't spend it, I lose it. And then I don't get the budget next year. So, let me just go find something just to go buy and just go spend on it. So it's really about trying to understand the motivation on that. And so as you think about that, when you understand the motivation, then you start to change your messaging, right? And so we hired a bunch of account executives. We hired a sales team to go do this. And in that now and it could be even people who are in sales, right? So when you're selling, what's the first step of sales? Like if you're selling B2B type sales, anybody got any thoughts or ideas? Conversation, right? So let me ask you this. As soon as I get, okay, so Kenny, let's say that I'm selling to you for your company. when I get you on the phone, is it a good idea for me just to immediately jump into a product demo?
No.
Okay. And what should I do?
Kind of, gauge, like, just ask them, what's going on in their world, why they potentially reached out, like just kind of have that conversation with them to kind of break bread before you get to pitching.
That's right. Yeah. So there's a term, it's called like a discovery. So there's a discovery call, right? And I see that, so Manuel and Patrick are both kind of hitting on that, right? Understanding needs and wants first, and then qualifying the customer. Yeah, so I'm qualifying the customer. Listen, is this person a tire kicker, or is this person legitimately looking to buy from me? And if they are actually looking to buy, what is it that they are actually trying to buy? Are they trying to buy goodwill with their boss? Are they trying to provide the best quality product for their employees? Are they just trying to like spend this money? Are they just trying to just get something done so they can move on to the next thing, right? Or are they like a real, diehard fitness believer and they want to like actually help folks out, right? And so kind of understanding that is going to lead you, and going to lead when you get to the actual pitch, is going to lead you down different kind of like choose your own adventure. You're going to go down a different path depending upon what you learn from that person just by just asking them a couple questions and just shutting up and listening, right? So what's happening there is that the customer discovery feedback loop is happening in real time right there before you even pitch the product to them, right? And then depending on what your product is, then you can start to, just develop that rapport with them and help them understand, one, help them see that you see what their needs are, and that two, that you have a product that fits their need, right? So again, product market fit. So these are kind of like the things. In the interest of time, I do want to leave some space. I know technically we're supposed to end right at 1:50, but I want to leave a little bit of space. So Teo, we're going to come up to the last part here. And what I want to do is I just want to kind of open the floor up. So if anybody any questions, so first we'll come back to Malik had a question. I'll come back to his, but then if anybody has any questions at all, or even if it's a question about their specific company, maybe we can use all these smart folks on the call to maybe even kind of help you all think through something, right? So Malik's asking, hey, how does a lemonade stand compete with a juice company? Before I give my opinion, which is just an opinion, I'll ask, does anybody else have a thought? All right, well, okay, go ahead. That's why you come off mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you need to be a bit more specific into what you offer. So you need to be a bit more specific. So you need to be, the lemonade stand need to show, I think, a bit more emotional and more customization into what they offer, so people can come to it. It's not just you can buy a Gatorade that is made for millions of people, but this is something that is specific. It has a specific incense for that person.
That's exactly right. And kind of like, you're kind of hitting on a couple things, right? But what you want to do is you want to compete on time, place, and quality, right? Okay, quality is lemonade, right? So unless you got like some special recipe for lemonade, the product is fairly interchangeable, right? What you can compete on is time and place. So it is not a good idea to set up on that August to set up a lemonade stand right outside a 7-Eleven or right outside of a bodega or something like that, right? That's just not going to work well for you, because you're competing with the 200 products inside the store. All right, so let's go somewhere where they're not, where there's still a need that can be met. And what you want to do, again, lemonade, people don't leave their house saying, hey, I'm gonna go look around my neighborhood and find a lemonade stand. It's a target of opportunity. So what you want to do is you want to position yourself where, you are uniquely situated to address the need that people have in real time. Again, back to the thing, hey, post up maybe next to a peanut stand, right? Or maybe right in the smack middle of a park where there's like no convenience store immediately around, and somebody's either got to walk and get hotter or go get in a car and drive away to, versus, hey, no, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just take a 5-minute break, refresh yourself, then get back to playing on the playground, right? So that's how I would think about trying to do that. What you want to do is you want to kind of figure out, hey, listen, where am I strong, where they're weak? And that really goes for any market. And that's kind of how you want to think about your product.
And I just put in the chat, me and the B and B's lemonade. That is the one. I believe it's the little African American girl. Like, I think she's on like Shark Tank or something like that. But like you said, like, she's really speaking to like her audience. Like, she's in Whole Foods. She isn't some of the places you would expect to see some of the other sugary drinks. So I really think that speaks to what you were just saying there, Gregory.
That's right. That's right. And then, okay, so Malik actually asked a good question. Hey, do you fear Peloton, and how do you intervene into their supply chain? The answer is I'm aware of Peloton. I know they're out there. I don't fear them. And I mean, quite frankly, there's not a damn thing I can do in their supply chain, to be honest. I don't have the scale to go play that game. So, I'm not going to go play their game. So let me tell you about how I think about Peloton's game and then how I think about our game. Let's think about this product market fit piece, right? So what I can tell you about my product is that SWORKIT is $59.99 a year or $9.99 a month. Okay. Peloton is a hell of a lot more expensive than that. So I'm not competing for those high-end buyers, right? So when you look at like a Peloton ad, for example, what do you see? It's like, they had one a while ago where it's like you see these people like in these corner Manhattan apartments, just hitting it hard, just sweat pouring off. And like, you got on to the next one is the track playing in the background. Right. And that's not who I'm targeting. What I'm targeting is that busy ass, parent, who is like, you know what, man, I was an athlete back in high school, man, but life took over. I put on some pounds. I can't fit exercise into my life. I need something that will help me get motivated to move, and it will help me make it easy for me to stay in shape and to lose this dad bod. Even though I can't go to the gym for 90 minutes a day, 4 times a week, like I could when I was 20. Right. And so I'm talking to a different user, or I'm talking to, to maybe a man or woman who has always struggled with their weight and they're embarrassed to go into a gym because they're just very insecure about how they feel and how they look in their clothes. Right. Maybe they're overweight and they're embarrassed. They want to be able to wear Lululemon, but maybe they can't afford it. 2, it doesn't fit them the way it fits the models, in the catalog. Right. And so we're reaching out to them saying, hey, listen, we can help you. We've got you. Do this and you will start to see results. Just do this over time. And you know what, with a little bit of hard work and a little bit of, a little bit of time, we can get you to a point where you do feel comfortable going to a gym. So if somebody like gets started on SWORKIT and then gets to a point where they now are not using SWORKIT as much, but are spending a lot more time doing doing other activities, then that's great for us too. Or the other thing we have is we have a lot of like really busy people who like, listen, I'll go crush it in the gym when I have time, but I just can't do it every day. Mm-hmm. And so, granted, Peloton has the app, but that app is still even more, is like, more than 2 times the price of ours. But they're for damn sure not putting their Peloton, in the airplane with them when they go fly on a business trip, right? So when it comes to Peloton, yeah, I definitely respect them, and they're an awesome company. But I think it would be foolish for us to try to compete directly with them because our product market fit is different from theirs.
Good. On that point, Gregory, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So it's a 2-part question. The first one is, how does the going B2B change your pricing model? They did change your pricing model, and how did you determine the $59.99 per year and $9.99 per month? How did you come about this price?
Yeah. So 2 questions here. Okay, I'll tackle the second one first. The $59.99 and $9.99. Experimenting.
Okay.
Experimenting, trial and error, benchmarking to competitors, and just kind of looking at what's out there and just checking the metrics on conversion rates. And particularly like getting people from a download to a trial, and getting people from really there's a couple steps in that. You should start thinking about conversion funnels, right? So those steps in that, okay, so there's people become aware of SWORKIT. How do they do that? Okay, then they think enough to download the app. Then they think enough to open the app. Then they think enough to register in the app. Then they think enough to start a trial. Then they think enough to actually exercise during that trial. And then at the end of that trial, they decide whether or not they want to actually opt in and actually pay us money, right? Okay. So there's all those steps of the process that you're kind of optimizing for them along the way. And over many years of trial and error, we had quarterly subscriptions once. I mean, at one point when we first started out, our annual subscription was like $19.99 a year, right? But then we went to it. But then for a while, we tried, okay, what if monthly was $19.99? We changed our, we've been across the whole gamut, and we settled in on the $59.99 and $9.99 because it works really well for optimizing our financial returns on that from a conversion standpoint, a trial standpoint, and a retention standpoint, and a renewal standpoint. So that's the first part. Second part is you asked about the B2B pricing. We changed them only because we are selling in bulk, right? So we're trying to provide incentives for getting them to pay for more of their employees. So we use the baseline consumer pricing. Nobody gets charged more than that, but we start discounting from there based upon how many subscriptions you're buying for how many employees. And we're still kind of playing with that, just kind of getting market feedback. We haven't nailed that down, but we're at a point where we're not really getting a lot of pushback on our pricing from employers.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
All right. And I think we got about 2 more minutes. Let's see. I got a couple more questions here. How'd you build awareness? I tell you what, how we built awareness a long time ago is a lot different from how I would go about building awareness now, because the game has changed over the last, 3, 5, 7, 10 years that we've been doing this. Early on, we benefited from, so here's what I'll say. First I'll do is bring this back to product market fit. So with product market fit, I'm going to come off of, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can actually see you guys full size. So when it comes to product market fit, what we did was, by having good product market fit, it made it more likely that people were going to refer the app to their friends and to their family. And so we got a lot of organic growth based on that. And also because especially when we first started, what we were doing was kind of different from what a lot of people saw. Then we got a lot of earned media. So we got a lot of free press early on that we really leveraged and doubled down on. And kind of like a one-off, a not necessarily scalable thing that we did is, we actually had a very successful showing on Shark Tank. And to the point that every time that rerun airs, we end up seeing a lift in our numbers. It's like, oh, what happened yesterday? Oh, there's a Shark Tank rerun on CNBC. It's like, oh, okay, got it. If I were doing it now, I would really try to find, I would continue down the press angle, and I would try to find maybe some influencers to work with. Influencer marketing worked very well for us for a period too. It's not as effective now in our experience, but it's still effective. And I still think it's potentially, if you find the right influencers, it's more cost effective than doing paid user acquisition via Facebook and Google and all those other things. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay, and there's a follow-up. And how long did it take for the awareness to take hold? It's quite frankly, it's just it's iterative. It's a process. It just keeps going, and you just got it. But you can't stop, because once you stop, people will forget about you, and algorithms will change in the Apple Store. Algorithms will change in Google. So you just got to kind of just continue to grind at it and just keep at it. All right. Well, listen, I think we're at the end of our time there. So listen, I want to thank you. I know Kenny had to drop off. I want and Donald, I'd like to thank both of you guys for having the courage to come up on stage and to chat with me. And Malik, Spencer, Jonah, Jade, Patrick, Emmanuel. Adebayo. It's been great, interacting with you guys. And so just feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And happy to kind of talk to you all and help you all any way I can. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.